Thoat pod. But he not that older than me, but y'all got me here on live, man.
No, that's why
I did. I really did.
Like,
I really did.
A lot of people do. I would think that by this time you'd be Accius. You don't.
Said it wrong.
It's just one of those things that folks be like, okay, I got it. Well, I don't even need to ask.
Yeah,
because I should know.
Yeah, definitely.
But sometimes when you don't know, you should just ask. No, it's all good.
Put a smile on my face too.
West Coast, and I've always kept that kind of East Coast person. Though I've come from the East Coast, I would say that literally the roots of California is probably more,
embedded
in me in a sense, but the sense of the Carolinas, you never really necessarily believe it's like the East Coast.
Yeah,
it seems more like South. You know
what I'm saying? Did you go to any schools out there in New York, or you just came straight from like what year? How old was
over there? We replicated when I really learned that shit. My learning abilities, because my mother was always mentally ill. Yeah. So it was never like
even when you was younger.
Man, understand some things that drive me, and one of those things that drive me is that piece where my father was a caregiver to my boys mentally ill.
Wow.
So that already kind of created the circles of where I'm at right now, even though I didn't think that it would lead to where I am. But those were kind of the things that
excuse me. It was more like a stepping stone to where you at now.
Exactly. But
yeah,
you know that you're moving away from your family. You come to this weird place, like what's going on? There's different. Because I talk to my father a lot more about that. I take care of my mom now, right?
Okay.
So she's in New York, and she's at a home, and so me and my daughter take care of her right now. Currently, she was missing for 21 years.
You said, wait a minute, that's a mouthful. You said you got siblings. Before you came around, don't pass me up.
Because of my mom being missing.
You didn't know either?
We didn't have no clue.
Wow.
6 months to 8 months or whatever being out.
Okay.
And it was like, all right, well, what we doing in America so often, especially Black people, right? We utilize this 18-year-old shit and not properly get our young people, our kids prepared for real world. Adopted the idea of 18 because, I said it, I'm 18, I'm going to whoop you out because what I'm sold and told is that in the way that I thought why do I have to come home at 12 when I'm 17, 16, 15?
You were saying that?
My dad was a full on. That's what I'm talking about. My father was the head of the household. They're Haitian. Now you got to think about it. Negroes still at that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about during that time, hip hop still relatively was a new thing, and it was still something that was foreshadowed in a way of like, nah, we don't need that music. Well, now hip hop culture has controlled all the demographics of every level. I'm talking about literally you still was listening to country music and you still listen to rock and roll. You know what I'm talking about? In high schools and in little parties where you go to have the hip hop, it's almost kind of like you're going to the hip hop spot. You know what I'm saying?
It was like
you moving into that, and then someone telling moms to put her in in facility disappeared.
And that's when you was 18.
And I was like, well, now that particular time was probably 19, 20 when she was like not even at the facility anymore. And then 21 years later, poosh,
okay, but do you had a child at the same time? And your first child?
Yeah, first child, first and only child. I've adopted children now.
Oh, okay,
first and only child.
Okay, we can't go that fast. So when you were young, and you said you were wild. I mean,
San Francisco.
You didn't go to Oakland?
No, we went to. My father was we moved from New York, like I said, again, just to put there's a tad bit for folks who have kind of childhood trauma or trying to figure just yesterday. The time, because the East Coast was absolutely, I don't even know here, but what I'm saying, that was it. But my dad was getting a job opportunity that he couldn't get out here. Yeah. So he came down, we stayed up there. He came back and got me, my mom's and everything. And the first place we got was San Francisco. And Fillmore, like I said before, crack really started just whatever particular reason.
It was nasty in the city too.
It was crazy.
It was nasty.
Whatever particular reason, him and my mother broke up because of all the incidents and things of that nature. I remember when we first moved that the paramedics had to come out because my mom had an episode. And then after that, folks don't know that they hear Marin County, they automatically, nigga was in a rich city spot. Mm-hmm. Now, there are those places, but as it did any other community. So we lived in San Rafael, and of course, the shit got hit with drugs, and it just got crazy. So that's kind of like,
damn, you stayed in the 707.
Yeah. So my dad tried to do good to kind of level us into a place where it was going to be an even playing field. But not only was I being tagged because I was black, but in the black community, I was also being tagged and targeted because I was Haitian. So African Americans was looking at me like, nigga, you ain't even a Negro. And I'm like, what? I'm blacker than you. So during, my childhood, I was always trying to figure out how and where I belonged. So I think a lot of
and you was born on U.S. soil.
Yeah. And a lot of the renaissance of me becoming like being more an advocate on the streets in the beginning of my childhood, but I gravitated to the culture of like the street shit.
Wow. And that was all in your young adolescent, teen, all of that.
Yeah. I think that the pandemic for black men, if we want to talk about pandemics,
oh boy,
right, is the simple fact of like
white America.
Do we kind of convert in this, right? But that's been overshadowed by the hood. The hoods and because at this particular time, the messaging in hip hop was more celebrate. You know what I'm saying? We done whooped Napoleon's ass and took his ass. You don't learn it and you don't understand it. And black, there's this Puerto Rican black. There's all these different blacks, but we're all concealed in, and we're not. Globally, we're not. In America, we are, because a lot of us are we're not counted.
Is that the reason why they consider us second and third class citizens?
You know what I'm saying?
And that's second and third class.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call it citizens. It's called property. Wouldn't that third class? Those niggas are property. Like those niggas are workers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like those line. You know what I mean? That's why they don't never really want niggas to get real power in these kind of places, because at the end of the day, a nigga having real power and separating themselves from these leagues that they make trillions of dollars, that doesn't support the economic growth of white supremacy.
Their agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's all convoluted, dog. It's like, as much as we celebrate our athletes and we celebrate these entertainers, these niggas are slaves. I mean, in
modern day slaves.
I mean, in a longer standpoint of how you look at it.
I mean, you got to break it down.
I mean, they look like they're liberated, right? They look like they liberated,
living good,
wrote it up,
all that, everything.
But if you don't control his publishing, he acts in becoming independent, and you saw Prince becoming independent. That creates targets on their back because what they're doing, jumping all over the place. But this is what we building. I just don't think that black people are really ready for those real questions about why we're in this kind of distress.
Well, that's why I want you to bring it here.
We don't really look at all the factors because we're so excited by social injustice. I'm looking at the economic injustice, because really social, racial injustice, you cannot partake in a system that is not designed for you, not designed by you, and think that we're going to get equality or we're going to get any kind of justice. What does that look like?
That you it's like you chasing your own ass.
They will to a certain extent.
Yeah, they dangle us
until the Negro decides that he wants to be independent. Black America has been in a domestic abuse relationship. As soon as we decide that we want to be independent, it always becomes a problem. Most Negroes' culture, like why $35 million for 1 year?
But he can't. He don't own. He won't never own flat out like the white people do a whole.
They want to. And he's been more now ever jumped in because black gatekeepers, as I would like to
call
them,
gatekeepers,
the elitists of black Negroship, as I will say, didn't push the issue. So it tamed the lion. It was almost like, nah, separate shit. And it's not because we're saying that we're better than anybody. It's just like I just say a simple analogy that's y'all together, well, we got different schedules and, just in case she needs to go somewhere, just in case I'm going to, or if we break up, we don't have to fight about the car. Like, okay, well, that's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Why do I need to put all my eggs in one basket? Just in case I need to leave or I need to find an alternative, I have my own, right? Then we can go our own separate ways. And I don't think that folks in Black America really realize and understand that we play ourselves by constantly trying to fit in or constantly apologizing by our blackness, apologizing about the historical injustice that's happened to us, that we benefited from the system, whether it's because of our athletic prowess or our entertainment talents, and even our own intellect, because a lot of stuff that Black people created has just been took and bought for
and rebrandished.
And it's like, you're now the individual that created it. And it's like, no, that nigga did.
Yeah.
Because it happened all through, because of the nigga who made peanut butter was Black. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like, you can go, niggas created. White people stole, and they made money. So when you have and turn around and do our own thing, but back in the day, it was 20 times worse.
Yeah.
So really, yes, it affects me. But if I'm a millionaire and the nigga who has money now, back in the days, they looked at accept the Negro like a Drake or Snoop Dogg to live in Calabasas, and they're happy about it. Oh, like, I got Snoop Dogg as my neighbor. Where back in the days that wasn't the situation. Harshness was real. Where now niggles are accepted by high society. Like, you have Snoop Dogg that was just chastised by the Black community and was hushed even up as a young man.
Right there.
Shouts out to
Big ups.
The Bay Area was so like ahead of the wave. Like, when I say that, they were so ahead of the wave, and they weren't trying with Mr. C and what's it, Black C. Shouts out to Mr. C, because like 2 weeks later he had got killed that particular time.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, and even in Marin, because Tupac was there, and watching Tupac free others and
Mac Mall.
Man, Mac Mall,
Mac Mall.
Hip hop albums, illegal business, and just watch Mac Dre. Shouts out to my brother.
And real quick,
and West
San Quinn and Messy Marv and all of them
dudes without promote the music. So
more of an engineer and an A&R.
Ain't all that. Yeah. And again, just being exposed, being a fan of him for like Mac Dre's former group, Something Terrible. I knew Dre and I rocked with Dre. You know what I'm saying? That I felt I was. I mean,
right.
I translated the hustle of being like a drug dealer and all that other, and that was a transition. It wasn't that, but I dabbled in that. I got a taste of it. I saw how cutthroat that shit really was, but again, I saw how independent the game really was. Shouts out to the Jacker, pushed them out, and to be with these dudes, it was surreal. But then I understood the game and understood the environment and understood how important it was to control your own destiny and why the independence was true compared to just signing, right? So hindsight, own destiny, and if we did that, I mean, skies would have been the limit.
Definitely. Okay, so with all that being said, when did you move to Sacramento?
I moved to Sacramento like probably 2000. I was heavily into selling drugs at this particular time in Santa. Yeah, we going there all the time, so we mixing and mingling, but all that chaos, and my people in San Rafael, you know what I'm saying? But I always think, black people, they're all discombobulated, and because nah, man, I learned all of that right where I learned it, right? You know what I'm saying? Selling major packs to white folk, watching grandma, PI lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? All in this space, you know what I mean?
And it was tight.
It was tight because, I mean, I think that as you're not a player or whatever the hell, and you're trying to make money.
The only way you're going to get.
Well, how you going to make money?
The straight
social media back then.
Yeah, it'd been.
Because in that lifestyle, as much as we love to say,
however it went.
Yeah. So I think that, like, when our young people are influenced by where I was influenced by the people around me, the music, they're influenced by the music, people around them, and social media. And that I saw,
not the social media phone thing. You're on your phone all day.
A major supplier, right? So I'm now in Sacramento. So I'm connected. I'm still connected with him. I do harvest, and my guy calls me particular time. He's he got connects. This is how I met Dre. Right? He's like, yo, Mac Dre wants to get like 200 pills. I said, what? I'm like, Mac Dre? I'm tripping. He's like, yeah, Mac Dre, the rapper. I say, I know. I said he wants to get.
Cool.
Yeah. I was spooked because I was like, 100 pills. I was gonna be
no Andre.
Yeah, right. So, but it was his partner connected to a pot. And Dre's like, man, I'm like a fucking goofball. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm gonna start clowning. But he gave me the most props on that day. He was like, dog. I was the nails, right? And then I remember he was just coming from Gilroy, California, and I'm like, what artists in places that they didn't know about because they just didn't know. But it was like he was setting the blueprints. You know what I'm saying? Foundations that was set. So it's just like the character of like that dude. About the music part of my connections, right? Me elevating to a different lifestyle, I know for a fact that I was eventually going to probably see that. And that's why I decided into a long jail term or me doing something to someone that I might regret for the rest of my life.
Well, the long-term jail time will come before death, but not
necessarily, because the thing is like this. If you think about it, where I was about to pay my homeboy $2,500 to lay a motherfucker down. Right? Who knows what would have happened in those moments afterwards, right? Especially with the people that I was involved with doing the shit that I was doing, we no longer are connected. You right now, zero. You go through all the games. I get square again, go back. The next level is this. Something has to happen. Jail, death, or you're going to really do something that you regret. And that's just this. I feel like those are the levels.
That's the stick.
Game. Maybe this was enough success
to stay in it,
to continue to be like, okay, this shit is working out, because really legal in a way. But he was also supplying heroin, and he was also supplying ecstasy.
Oh, he was doing too much.
So those folks kind of like, this outsiders got this big ass house got all these grows everywhere in the back of his fucking you know what I'm saying, his
all
facility,
of that?
bruh. Like that's why folks don't really know. Like my whole when I write the book, and this is finna win. Like I don't have to go to someone who knows somebody. I got to connect. I'm like he's my father figure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he get popped by the feds.
Oh,
and then
boy.
you got
exactly fucked off the church's money.
And then you got a situation, my thing with the Yamins, and then that shit don't work. Jay Gibb at the time, that was something terrible. Jay Gibb was on that lyricist. I call him to find out.
I know Stupid and all that.
Yeah. It's like those shouts out to my brother.
He's at the top of the food chain.
Hey,
shout out Chuck Beasley.
That's my guy. We just got done talking. I'm convincing him to like write do a documentary and a movie about his life. You know what I'm saying? Real shit.
Definitely.
And they need to do some totally that's independent from
to culinary school because we was in culinary school together. What got you over there?
I had to figure out to do something.
That was the figure out. That was the figure out.
Nah, it was like the where, but she was a hustler for real. Shouts out to her because we still rock. Again, my life has been exhausted trying to live a certain lifestyle. Was about to get her degree in Davis. I was still, small hand peddling drugs and doing white collar crime. She came to me one day and was just like, "So what are you doing with your life?" And I'm like, "What you talking about?" Like, so
came to you like a mother.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, what do you? And I then started really cook. Like that's one thing I'm good at. Even though my mouthpiece is great, even though I have a way with people, I still was just like, I don't know. I was still afraid, you know what I'm saying, to kind of take it to that next level, right? Culinary school, because like she just loved how I cooked. My fam, we're cookers, and I felt like that was one of those things that I could see myself probably doing for the rest of my life until I got to culinary school. Until I was like, oh shit, there's techniques to this shit. Like it wasn't just you. Like, and as soon as I was doing that, I had got, I was going to work, I was going to school, being in square. I got laid off, right back to the streets. So when I met getting back, like, man, let me go back and finish what I started. Because I was like, yeah.
So you was already over there.
Yeah, I was already over there. So I was coming back on redemption road. You know what I'm saying? She had gassed me up. I got motivated. It was a lot harder than what I thought, but I still was doing it. But then when I stopped making money, life alone. Don't even, if you can, don't even give it the opportunity. For like about what? Don't ever know. And I knew how much I could make, and I knew how to make it and how to do it. Like all money, it's just everything that comes with it. It captivates an individual. So met you is when I was coming back, doing all the shit that I was doing, trying to get square, being the best father that I could possibly be. Even though I was always a great father, I just had a dark lifestyle. So it's like put my daughter into bed, drop her off at school, and I'm out here in the streets wilding. And so then that was my escape of creating, opening up my own restaurants. And one thing about culinary school, skills, let me get the certificates, whatever like that. But I am not going to, for whatever reason, I'm not going to be able to create a program when I left.
Book. It was the black dude that went to prison and he became a chef in prison. It's neither here nor there. But that was the Houston, Texas, and all of Las Vegas.
You really made me a bigger fan of Drake because you would always come through singing.
Listening to Chris Brown and Drake and all of that because I would play it loud and put my clothes on and ready to go. Like
but because I'm gonna tell you right now, I was into culinary.
Mac Drake.
I remember at 16 being in Oakland, we got set up. I'm about conflict now, but I definitely were. So having there was nobody to break down what I just dealt with or what I just saw and what I was feeling. So I think that death by itself, it really became a subject that still gets sad. I mean, when Tupac died, and I felt like I could have done something to like this. And I think the thing that there like really broke me, but it elevated me because I saw that there's so much work for me to do. So it makes you wonder what you could have done to change.
Is that one of the reasons why when Stephon Clark was murdered, you kind of dove out there and put yourself on the front line for it?
When Stephon Clark got murdered, it was not one of those situations. It was, we were ready. Like a lot of us as activists in Sacramento, we had all 2014. So I started my organization. I had been teaching a class in Oakland with my dude Trackmatic. Shouts out to my guy.
Mm-hmm.
We were having a mentorship music class, and it was in Castlemont. And some of our 2013, you have Trayvon Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start reminiscing off of all of the other stuff that's been going on with Black people. You still start seeing how, like, damn, we just got the second term. It was like, damn, it's like, it's how racist is America still?
Mm-hmm.
I think you just lost in believing because you're watching so many Black people moving up the ladder that the racism it's never changed.
They hated Obama.
And you're like,
they hated that they had they could black.
Yeah, black.
Enough.
Yeah. When Mike Brown happened, that's when I just fully jumped in to like.
He was they white enough.
Yeah. When Mike Brown happened, that's when I just fully jumped in to like the act. Truth to power. And one of my young bulls was really moving into where Stephon Clark happened. 2014, here we are. We're in 2000. They haven't just put in the forefront. Cases before, and there was cases after.
And I seen all them cases when they was at Cesar Chavez and you see all the pictures.
Yeah,
like they don't name it.
Joseph Mann was a homeless dude. Whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have Stephon Clark that happens 2 years later. All of us as organizers, we all came off the railings.
I mean, no, when here's the thing, because when the shit first hit the fan, Black Lives Matter. It was like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter, because we do matter. Yeah. But they use it, the women, the group, because I kind of did my little research on them, and I went to their little website and read all on there. It's like a sexist group.
Well, and I think that, but here's the thing: every shit, and because every chapter is different, and that's a to 2014, because you got to remember government. So the reality, was it always going on? Yes, but now we're being able to videotape it, and we come so desensitized by it and get so angry by it that now it's almost like it becomes top before a thing that happened with Rodney King that was like, wow, now becomes, oh.
Funny you mentioned Rodney King, because when Rodney King died, it was that followed the LA riots.
Remember, he didn't die.
He didn't die. He got beat up. Because at first the cops, I seen the old footage. The cops didn't even go into the thing when the riots. The cops didn't even go swarming in there. They didn't call no National Guard or none of that shit. No. They didn't do none of that. They passed.
No,
so my life is less than a fucking man.
Has to rewrite half of the shit, because patriotism in America is even more powerful than leaving, creating your own system, or they were conquered. Right? Get what I'm talking about? Of enslavement that white America was going to be.
I call, we need to start our own.
They did.
You don't think we can have that again, or we should have that again?
Niggas ain't nervous enough. People are comfortable. That's what you got to understand. Black people are very comfortable. Going back into just finishing off into this idea of how all those things happen. New York. I just wanted to make sure that Mark Lewis 2014 you could check out because the content of Rage, it's race. The idea of separation.
It's just selling.
Black death is profitable.
Billion, trillion.
Think how much money GoFundMe has made off of black death. Now, George Floyd family, they probably got 13 or 14
No, they
million
didn't. They paid taxes on that.
Not fuck the taxes. GoFundMe gets the money before they can even go ahead and
get the money.
Yeah. So yes, they got some millions, but how much did
GoFundMe make? Yeah. GoFundMe makes. Yeah.
What's that? Magazines to activists whose careers were in the mud. Activists whose careers were in the mud. Now,
how to, like you said, it's just the times we're in. How the media takes
conversation because
they misinterpret and they project things.
But it's us, King. It's us, dog. Like I like at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, whatever. Nah, because I don't, because personally, motherfuckers know what they did, chasers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? CloinTelPro, that was the thing that they would have, the CloinTelPro, some guys coming in and shaking up shit. Now, you ain't got to do that. You got clout chasers, you got ego, and you got everybody trying to create. First than ever, you have a situation to where now you got all of these folks have been lifted up, and that won't talk in a collective. They will talk as individuals. Folks will start forgetting that it was us, and they will talk about it was them, taking credit for things that they never did. Like, for instance, when we shut down the Golden One, that had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter.
But they took the credit.
I'm one of the motherfuckers that led the shutdown.
I know, you was on the free.
We are the Supermans of this world. We are the DNA and the fabric of America and this global in this global world. Like, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like Berry said, is there races dying, dog? Like, I go have a white woman, I go have a Mexican. Who do they become? They become black. I can't do that with white people. White people can't reproduce like us. That's why they put abortion clinics in neighborhoods that they shouldn't become gay. They can't do what? Reproduce. So
they project. That's why they push it all in the TV.
Pure black.
Even if they,
I've dated some women that still want to deal with Halloween, still want to deal with Christmas. They're still in this European ideology. Some women, they're so gone off of, here's our crystals.
Yeah.
And then there's some, yeah, you're right. And there's some that just, I don't like the importance of it. So like now that I'm in my bag in a way, not saying a bag in a way, let me be very honest with you. Some don't, some do, but a lot of need. I don't want to be the person that has to need or any to propel my people in an overall basis, then have to be feeling like I got to be home at 1 o'clock, right? Who are you talking to? I don't got time for that.
What it is that they was together, and I'm gonna explain it. They was together, but they, had some falling out, and they just had to get separate houses, but they still married. I mean, you watch it.
I mean, niggas say black business. It was time of why we're so fed with this need to be accepted in white society.
I always want to be accepted.
Well, I don't think that Martin continue to tell you I have a dream.
That's what I
continue to say.
System out in the United States of how they blind you with their history and not our history.
But let me give you something better though. What was the opportunity for us that we had right now to show our own agenda for an education system?
What was our
own ideas of how we want our children to learn, since they know, because I'm not a parent that has to worry about a younger child. I get the struggle, but you had more Negroes crying about having of us ready to create our own foundation because the opportunities are here and we still don't do it. It's right here. It was right here. They told you your kids cannot go back to school. Matter of fact, they didn't even have a plan about social distance learning until school started coming back around, and they created a plan. At that same time, they created a plan because we are all going into these uncharted territories. Why weren't Negroes going in and creating their own plan? Like, you know what? we got this. Don't trip. Now Johnny don't got to go back.
Like you
now,
said,
that's another one of my businesses. So I have like what 5 or 6 different businesses that I'm
5
having.
of them I see here.
5 to 6 different businesses, and now I mean, shoot.
Yeah, if you had a set location,
because I'm able. So my daughter, who is a serial entrepreneur, is delicious, and a co-owner of Black Blueprints, but people don't understand nonprofits are big business.
What's this other one?
Which one?
I don't mean to cut you off. What's this other one?
Out of the house, get paid, but as well as we're feeding all these different communities, not just a community of Meadowview that we were stationed at, but all these different communities that needed support. Some families, dog, that got us on, what is that? We was on like Discovery, the stuff Discovery, like commercial stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Because I have to always, for me, that's just kind of I'm bred and high wired like that. Folks be asking when I created Voice of the Youth, like the people that I would impact. My tag is the impact is real, a very humble nature, and I've represent a very fierce nature of myself because I just know that there's so much shit that we got to do. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much work we have to do. And there's 70-year-old white guys is not going to liberate black people. In ours to kind of break down certain things. We haven't just focused on the presidency because I think that, again, is a content that gets diluted because everybody is like, the president, we got to get Donald Trump out.
When he took office, Obama took off.
Did stuff for the people that came with an agenda, LGBTQ, the immigrants, they came with an agenda. What the hell are we going to do when Biden gets in? We got to be at that door with an agenda and saying A, B, C, ASAP. Not later, but ASAP. And that's the problem that we get. We get so caught up in emotion. You got folks really just laws for that because so much is at sea. What about white America?
Do you hold white America
to where whitey?
No, it's not a blame.
What was it, 2016 or something like that? It was the Oscars or one of the dates, right? Niggas was like Oscar so white. I want to say 2016 or 2017, right? It was like boycott the Oscars. 100 Negroes in there, pandemic or not. I mean, so is that whitey's fault? I just to build and showing them how to build. What you're doing, what I'm doing, creating platforms, creating content is a great thing. But we have to make sure we we sound like y'all fucked it up. So what y'all gonna do about it? That becomes corny when I was majorly focused setting up the traps. That's just can't be my situation.
Well, I
gotta be able to sit there and say, y'all not gonna get me this time.
Here's the thing. The reason why I speak on and I speak to white America a lot.
They want them how to bathe themselves, right? They don't want to really show how the etiquette wasn't 400 years prior to, right? Or there's not enough research or not enough evidence. I'm sure my Moors will get on here and be like, this is this, read this book and all that other type shit. We don't really necessarily know. So we don't know how much pain that we can inflict on them. So in a sense of understanding how these folks operate, right? We cannot to point out all the flaws of white people when we are not doing the diligent to create the capacity or the structure, or better yet, infrastructure, so that is all irrelevant.
Them like that. Okay. Nobody says nothing to them.
Okay.
But I'm the only one.
Let me hit you with one.
They give me that.
Okay.
And the reason why, let me finish. And the reason why they looking at me like, no, you ain't supposed to be here.
Okay. Now, I'm in a black operated situation down in Florence, right? And guess what?
I went to a neighborhood
street. What we talking about?
Yeah, cool.
That's when we talk about white blend or free labor, and that we pretty much taught them. My guy LeBron James did 4 titles. %. There is probably not happen because they're not trying to have a bunch of niggas, especially after what these niggas just showed when they almost basically said, well, we're about to shut down your whole league.
Same thing in the NFL, right?
NFL has. Here we are. These are the main. Nigga Michael Jordan or half of a LeBron. Niggas can be half a LeBron and it could get a majority of us people out of salvation.
Run,
and guess what? These Negroes don't do a goddamn thing. And this shit that makes me sick. It makes me laugh because these Negroes do not want to do the hardest part about what would have done. The Lakers, because I'm a LeBron guy fan, because I believe that nigga was too great to get all that hate. But the most would have who sat there, you know what? We're not gonna play no more. We're tired because y'all niggas ain't talked to your people and figured out why the hell we keep on getting killed. So
basically,
guess what?
just controlling Nate.
We're not playing, and we're probably gonna make plans to create our own league so we can control our own destiny. Because willing structure, here's a big word, people. I'm gonna say it one more time. Controlling the infrastructure. Black people don't have a major company structure like Google. There's not the black infrastructure like Facebook. There's not the black infrastructure like Twitter. Like
I was gonna say, let's do a black book.
Uber. Nah, niggas don't really want to do that shit. Niggas don't want to do. You know why niggas don't want to do this shit? Because it's not going to be as big as Facebook. Because there are different platforms analyze for this out.
We didn't know nothing about that. We got a product
to the arena. These niggas is really in this place that you are in. We're all in the same playing field, but they do know that they have content. Folks are more fiend ass came out and we're like in that before they're reinventing themselves in a platform when them niggas is all they doing. They've stolen, right? They've stolen from others because clearly, and this is like the end. I got my hand up and stuff like that. That's not something he called me to do, but that's some of the clips, a part of the 1%, or even when this has just become a new hustle.
They Master P'd you.
So active. Did he have to do all of the shit? Yes, he did. But not once dies if I even try to just hear stories like Megan Thee Stallion did her piece. All right. But just a few seconds ago, y'all doing a video about wet ass pussy.
And y'all said she was a man. Why I say that is because I'm more of a Malcolm. I believe more of a Malcolm and a Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to them a lot.
Niggas,
bro, that's one of my main. That's why I get the energy with white men. SBA, what is it?
SBA loan.
What money? Soon as money. If right now me and you offered $1,000 money. If right now me and you offered $1,000 to watch this episode, they will watch this episode. So all the way through.
People control, and that, my friend, is something that black people don't push. Black people will just push this vote, like robots, and never say vote with an agenda and tactics. But we eventually need to start talking about black parties. And some folks have said we have some black political. We don't even.
The white people.
How do we want to show up to this shit? You don't show up and
vote it. Yeah,
I voted no. What to do and telling niggas how to do it. We giving you the shit, never people. But if we not building on some Garveyite shit, then we just doing nothing but continuing to just wait for the white man.
Yeah.
But what I've done with my 28th, one of my other businesses with my team, my fam, a Black Friday code down.
Yeah.
But that's about controlling our own shit. This Saturday we're going to be doing the Trap the Vote Block African Marketplace. We're not only going to be talking valuable in any situation. These are the kind of things that out here because it's hard changing what's around our own communities.
I definitely agree. I'm pretty sure a lot of talking to it could take to the next level, like the youth, too about it, and you feel what you're saying. Like I could feel it, what you were saying.
I'm really doing it.
Yeah, and you out there in the streets. Oh man, you is front line. You it's a group in relation.